this arena.
Sorry, what are you asking?
Oh God, I'm sorry. That was my Google Home. I'm sorry, that was so
Wait,
creepy.
that's going in the outtakes.
Is that right?
She's talking.
Hey, Alexa.
Hi again, everybody. Makeda here, and today I'm going to be interviewing Joseff McKenneth. Joseff, how are you? And tell us something about you and your music.
Hi, Makeda. I'm Joseff McKenneth, as she said, and I am a inspirational soul music artist.
And a speaker and entrepreneur, and all around entertainer, I would suppose. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's nice to hear. So let's talk about the first song, Already Home. I think we'll play it first and then we'll talk about it afterwards, okay?
Awesome.
Wandered off to find your purpose, but then you wandered off too far. Went so deep beneath the surface that life began to look bizarre. Maybe the way to see the light is to boldly walk through the night. Closer, getting closer. Just remember the stories of homecoming glories. Look inside and find you're already home. Too much on one thing rather than the oneness in everything. You'll recover, you'll always recover when you remember the stories of homecoming glories. Look inside and find you're already Don't look any further. It's already within you. Remember
That's a beautiful song. I love the song.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna go straight into the lyrics because I had a question about that. So, the line, maybe the way you saw the light was to boldly walk through the night. Is that your way of saying that sometimes you have to go through dark times to see all the good and positive things in your life?
Absolutely. That's the perfect interpretation. Because it's, life is not rainbows and sunshine all the time. And I think in order to realize and to see that, you gotta experience the opposite of that. So yeah, that's the perfect interpretation for that line.
Is it referencing a specific part of your life?
Oh yeah, I would say it's referencing pretty much my entire life, really. But I think I look at it as a general, my general perception of life in general, not only just my life, but humanity as a whole. I think everybody has their own experience in terms of darkness and pain and feeling some type of stress or overwhelm. And I think that line represents a general aspect of everybody's life. And I think for me personally, it's, I wouldn't say it's nothing too extreme, because I think even mild or even extreme things that have happened, and not to get into too many details about it, it's a general, description of just how life is. It's like, it's not going to feel good all the time. So in order to get to the feel good feelings, you got to go through the bad feelings,
Yeah, it's true. And the song can help us with that, right?
Absolutely.
That's what I think, at least. So it sounds like there's a heavy gospel influence for the song, but you don't make any specific religious references. Were you trying to capture the gospel feel from a more secular angle?
Well, I'm heavily influenced by gospel music, for sure. And I don't think I was angling it in any sort of way, in terms of it being secular or whatever. Because I think all of my music kind of carries a spiritual element, and you can hear the influence in that. And so for me, I didn't want it to be specifically catered to the gospel music world. And because I have such a universal view on life, that was the reason why I didn't use any gospel language, in that sense. So yeah, it wasn't so much that I wanted it to be secular in the way that we would think secular is. It was just me being my general, like, normal, universal self. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Did you do the musical composition of the song as well?
I arranged it, but then a very good friend of mine, we met in this. There was a competition that we were both in, and it was for this label deal, and we were kind of neck and neck in terms of just like, oh, okay, you're in for this as well. It's like, okay, yeah. And so we kind of hit it off, and he's this incredible composer, pianist, arranger, and so we collaborated. And so this was like a year after we had connected, and then it was like, oh, I'm working on some stuff, you want to collaborate? And it just kind of happened. And I told him about the idea that I had for the song, and I just sung him the melody, and this is what I have in mind. And then it was magic from then. So his name is Dylan Wyka, and he arranged and he composed the musical production for it. So yeah.
But do you write your own lyrics, or did you collaborate on that too, or?
No, I wrote those are my lyrics. I wrote the song, I wrote the lyrics, and I arranged the melody, and he came in and just added a lush
Magic
orchestration. Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah, great. I love the lyrics. Okay.
Thank you.
Who's singing the background vocals? It sounds like there's a choir in the song. Are those your vocals, friends?
All of the vocals are mine.
Nice.
All the vocals are mine. The highs, the mids, the lows, all of them are mine. Yeah.
You really can sing them all then.
Well, that was kind of a challenge because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pull that off. But I went for it. I'm sorry, I went for it, and it turned out okay. I was
It
satisfied.
sounds great.
Well,
It
thank
sounds
you.
good.
As
Well
long as
done.
you feel that way about it, I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, yeah, well, let's move on to the next song. Your next song is called
Sweet.
Be There. And let's play it, and then I'll ask you some questions afterwards.
Sweet.
If I give this proposition to you, will you listen and just hear me out? Oh, I just want you near me. If you listen clearly, you'll understand what it's about. Please don't get the feeling that I'm forcing you into dealing with me when you're uncomfortable. You know that I respect you just enough to give you space to see what we already know. Don't say that you'll be mine, don't even promise I won't cross that line, or that would be the end of us. We should take our time, but if your heart is saying that you really care, then just be there, darling, be there. Please just be there. Tell me, how is this going to work out if you won't be there? Baby, be there. Please just be there. Promise you I'll never walk out if you just trust the feeling that you get when you're around. Because I feel the same way too. Yeah, it's real when you're not there. It's just too hard to deal, so I find myself dreaming about you. Will you be willing to walk beside me, willing to help me find my way? How loyal will you be to see that you and me get the best from day to day? Don't say that you'll be mine, don't even promise I won't cross that line, or that would be the end of us. We should take our time, but if your heart is saying that you really care, girl, just be there, darling, be there. Please just be there. Tell me, how is this going to work out if you won't be there? Baby, be there. Please be there. Tell me, how is this going to work out if you won't be there? Darling, be there. Please be there. Promise you I'll never walk out if you just be there. Be there, be there, be there, be there. Promise you I'll never walk out if you just be there.
Ooh, I love this song too. So tell us more about the song Be There. What was your inspiration for it?
Ooh, Be There was the very first song from my very first album
Ooh,
back in 2012,
wow.
almost a decade ago. And to think about that, it's just like, wow, a whole decade ago was when I decided to like step foot into this.
A whole decade, and that's same for me.
Yeah, wow, synchronicity. But yeah, and to think about that, even now, it just doesn't even feel that like that long ago. But yeah, I wrote that song, and here's an interesting story about that song. It was I was working as a music specialist for this nonprofit organization here in New York, And I had this huge crush on one of my coworkers there, and it was interesting because I was like, you know, is this something that I want to pursue? Like, because I don't know if you hear a lot about work crushes and, you know, that kind of thing, and how they can be a little tricky. And I was like, this is so strange. And to me, and while I was working at the time, this was like the first crush that I've ever really had that, like, I was like, oh my God, I'm really having feelings for somebody like this. And so, like I always do, I kind of, you know, put pen to paper and really write my feelings out. And so this was that, be there. And yeah, and I guess a follow up to that, I guess, in terms of just where that went. So I did express my feelings to this person, and I was gently let down, and it was, yeah, it was, and it was okay. But then I took that as was like, that was a step for me in like really being forward and just and direct and expressing myself and how I feel, because I'm kind of a shy guy. It doesn't seem that way, but in terms of expressing like the deepest, you know, core of my heart, like I'm very reserved in that aspect, and to put myself out there in that way was kind of a liberating feeling, you know. And so as we all do, we move on.
Right, I understand.
So that's how that song came about. That's actually how the whole album from that song came about. But that's a whole other story too.
Wait, the whole album was kind of a declaration of love and liberation. Wow, yeah. But to the same person?
Yeah.
Wow, that's an honor. I wish someone were to write an album about me. It's so amazing, though. I don't know. I hope that person.
The power of, you know, being creative and just the emotions that come up, you know, so strong. And so interesting about that, because it was such a contrast from how I grew up. I grew up in a very strict church religious environment, and to not be able to express myself in a religious way and like really be real and be true and honest with how I feel was that was a defining moment for me. And yeah, that's the birth of that song and just that project. So it's a special moment for me. Yes. Looking back, like in retrospect, thinking about that now.
But it ties back into the first song where you said that we have to go through dark times so that we can like. What a gift! Makeda. The whole album.
Yes.
It's the greatest gift you could get from heartbreak, I guess.
Right.
Wonderful. Okay, so then I have another question.
Yes.
So I saw in the title of the video, you used to go by the moniker Joseff Goodwin. When did you change it and why?
Ooh, that was around that time that I had that project. I was with the whole production team, and you know, I was still learning the business, and there were things and, you know, contract loops and things that, you know, I had fallen into in that whole situation, and my name was one of them. And, you know, having my name on projects and in situations kind of kept me bound, and, you know, I felt bound and gagged to just, okay, you using my name, and then, you know, you're putting this project out and I don't really approve of it. So it was sort of a legal situation in terms of why I changed it, because the work that I created is all mine. And, you know, so that the people involved and everybody who was involved with that situation wouldn't get credit or wouldn't get, you know, access to that stuff, I decided to change my name and just, you know, bring all of my stuff to my new moniker. Which isn't a new moniker because it's all my name.
Right.
You know, I'm Joseff McKenneth, but then there in that phase in my life, I was really going by Joseff Goodwin. So McKenneth is really my middle name. Shh, secret's out now. But so yeah, I did it for legal reasons, and you know, I just kind of reinventing myself in a sense. So.
You know, I can understand that, because like I've thought about like looking for a new name just because it's so close to my personal life, and sometimes when I feel like I've outgrown the person I was 10 years ago, I kind of feel like maybe I should like get a new name, you know, change everything.
Well, you know, reinvention is sort of the name of the game these days a lot of the time. I guess specifically as a creative and someone who is constantly exploring layers of themselves, like you definitely are going to feel like a new person, you know, sometimes a year later or 2 years later, 3 years later. And I think that's the beauty of it, really. So if that's something you're contemplating, like I'm full support here, like, you know,
yeah, I mean, who
it.
knows? Maybe I
Who
already
knows?
have like a secret.
Oh,
Who knows? Okay, Joseph. So the song sounds as if you know the other person feels the same way that you do, but you were trying to get them to admit it. Is that what you wanted to say with the song? I mean, there's a specific line that says, "You know that I respect you just enough to give you space to see what we already know."
well, I guess I gave the final answer when I said I was rejected, in terms of just like, you know, going further in the situation.
But when you
But
wrote
I
the
guess,
song, you hoped that the other person was feeling the same, right?
yeah, and I guess from an emotional aspect, it was reciprocated in a way, but not in a way that satisfied my intention. So even though it was rejection, there's still some empowering, you know, epiphany that could be had from it, because just because I was wanting it in a certain way, I think the dynamic of the connection that we did share, you know, it was something that was true, and it felt pure, in the sense that it did feel like a thing, but it wasn't really a thing. Yeah, it's kind of what, yeah, it was an attempt for them to admit, like, out of their mouth, you know, like, speak it, communicate it. Because they say, you know, I don't know if you've heard the saying, you know, vibes don't lie, you know, and that's true. Like, vibes are true. Like, you can really feel, you know, how a person feels. But then in order to really get clear on that, I think it's important to really communicate those feelings, like use your words. And I think just given the dynamic of the situation, like, it felt pure, it felt honest, and it was the connection there. But because I had a specific intention in mind, and because it wasn't communicated, it wasn't satisfying for me. And I was okay with that, because, you know, my goal in pretty much anything that I do is for satisfaction. I want to feel satisfied. I want to feel relieved. I want to feel like those feelings of bliss. And if I don't get it with you, then I can get it from somewhere else. And that's totally okay. Right.
I understand. So Joseph, that choir sounds massive. How did you get the choir sound? Like, how did you manage to layer all of those voices?
Well, that's exactly what I was going for. And I think I wanted that. I wanted a choir, but of course, in light of this whole pandemic, I had to like be resourceful. And I was like, well, can I pull this off myself? Can we pull off some studio magic here? Like, let's make this happen. And so, you know, I had a really good engineer who actually lives in the neighborhood with me. And, you know, I called him up. I was like, hey, could you like mix this in a way where it sounds like a choir? He's like, I'll see what I can do. And that's the end product.
Great job. In my song, my singing teacher and the songwriter and the producer, everyone had to sing, even though some of them aren't singers, just so it sounded like
to be able to give that, yeah.
Everyone's like, come in here and sing something.
Yeah, that's sometimes how it has to be. But I was like, you know what? You know, I'm willing to challenge myself here. So let's do it.
Off to our last question. What was filming in the street in the city like? Did it present any challenges?
Well, it wasn't, which was, this is interesting because I live in New York, but I filmed that in Boston, in Massachusetts. And we did it in a park. The videographer lives in Massachusetts. And so, you know, I met him through the producer of the album that I had made. And he was starting out, like he was really building his brand and his video portfolio. And I saw some of his work and I was like, oh my God. And this guy at the time was 18.
Oh, wow.
He was 18 and he was just like recording, like he's like a master at the camera. And this was back in 2012. And I was like, oh my God, this is cool. And so we met him there. And so we went to this park. So it wasn't really a huge, you know, it wasn't any conflict involved. It wasn't any, you know, craziness. So it was fun. It was really fun. It was intimate, and, you know, boom, 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 we got it done.
Nice. It looks really like you guys are walking through the city, and
Yeah.
looks like I would be scared that it didn't rain, right?
No, it did not, but it was cold.
Okay.
We shot that in February, so it was like in the dead of winter. So we kind of had to. I wanted a spring feel for it, so I wasn't really dressed completely for the weather at that time. Like it was really cold because I had on like this jacket and I had like this hoodie on. I had this hoodie on, and so yeah, I wanted it to be sort of like a meetup between me and the leading lady in the video. Like, you know, meet up with me. And so she's a very sweet girl, the girl who played my love interest in the video. She wasn't my real love.
I would just say she's not the real love.
She was just an actress. And she really came through. She came through at the last minute because I had someone in mind for this, but because we were shooting in Massachusetts, the videographer had a friend, and she's an actress. And so it's nice to have friends who are, you know, doing what you're doing, who are in the same field. And like the minute you call them, it's just like, hey, you know, can you come through? And she came through in the 11th hour, as they say.
Nice.
And yeah. And it looks like, and to me, I think, you know, I've gotten feedback. It's just like, you know, do you guys know each other? It's like, no, we just met that day.
It would have been fun if it had been her, and after you finished the video, you'd said, hey, by the way, this song's for you.
Yeah, right. That would have been
awkward.
Well, I don't know if that
would have been bold.
It would have been bold. It would have been bold. But, you know, but I guess on the flip side, I did express this. And it was sort of like, oh, wow, kind of thing. But it was still like, yeah, I'm not going to make that move and put you in a position, in that position, you know. And that was fine. I totally was okay with that.
Yeah, I feel like I've been on both sides already. I know the situation, like, oh, wow, I didn't see this coming. Oh, where's the door? You know, and I've been on the other side, like, oh, man, you're breaking my heart right now.
Right. It's the conflict of it all. But it all settles out, and I think it's important. And I think, one, it's important for creative material. So I think in any aspect, you know, when you're going through some kind of hardship or some, you know, conflict in your life, it's food for creativity. It's food for the arts. So.
Yes, it's true. It makes us feel less alone. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Not a problem. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Okay, that was my last question. It was wonderful to speak to you, to listen to your music.
Well, thank you, Makeda.
Well, wonderful. So, Joseph, let us know where we can find you on the web.
Well, you can find me directly from my Bandcamp website. It's josephmusic.bandcamp.com. It's where you can play catch up with everything that I've ever recorded, you know, from the past up until now. And of course, everything is available anywhere you stream or download your music. But I guess if you're looking for me on Instagram or Facebook, you know, I'm not on those platforms at the moment, but once again, my website is the direct access to me. And then my YouTube channel, Joseff TV. So, yeah.
So to everyone watching, you'll find all of the links in the description. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.